राम जय जय राम।
ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम।
ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम।
ओम
ओम
श्री
श्री
राम
राम
जय
जय
राम
राम
जय
जय जय
जय राम।
राम।
ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। ओम
श्री राम जय राम।
जय जय राम। ओम
श्री
श्री
राम
राम
जय
जय
राम
राम
जय
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 राम।
राम।
ओम
ओम श्री
श्री
राम
राम
जय राम जय जय राम।
ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम।
ओम
श्री
श्री राम
राम
जय
जय
राम
राम
जय जय राम। ओम श्री राम
राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री 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 राम जय राम जय जय राम। ओम श्री राम जय राम
जय जय राम। ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। ओम श्री
everybody cannot follow.
फकस
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम।
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम।
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम।
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम।
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम।
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Hari Om to everybody.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Yesterday we were talking about ahara, no? Food. So at that time we were making a mention about one sloka in Bhagavad Gita. In the 6th chapter, 17th sloka, Bhagavan says, Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkaha. To one who is temperate in eating and recreation, in the effort of work, in sleep and wakefulness, yoga becomes the destroyer of misery. For spiritual aspirants like us, this is also very, very important. Probably that is why yesterday he prompted somebody to take it up. So instead of concentrating on particular aspect like food, no doubt food plays an important role. But here in this stanza he covered the entire thing. Moderation in everything. Not merely in food. Ahara, vihara. To the one who is temperate in eating and recreation. And even when, what a beautiful, how much of sane logic you find in the statement. Moderate in ahara, food, and vihara, recreation. Yukta cheshtasya karmasu, moderate in engagement of work. We say workaholics, Always being engaged in work is not good. Because it produces a different samskara in us. Bereft of activity, we become miserable, So there should be a balancing. That's what Lord says. Always being engaged in work is not good. Laziness is also not good. Yukta swapnavabodhasya. Moderate in sleep and in waking. Swapna avabodha. To such a person, yoga Yogo bhavati dukkha. That is how we can achieve the fruit of yoga. Yoga means union with God. Becoming aware of His presence, becoming one with Him, whatever we say. That is a yoga. So for yoga, this is the wisest advice given to practitioners in spiritual life. People have done all sorts of spiritual practices. Even now people do, without knowing the truth expounded by great teachers like Buddha, Krishna, Patanjali. They have their own inclination and they follow that. Not much good can come through such practice. And so this is the instruction given to us. Normally, when we hear the word yoga, what comes to us is the physical exercise, various asanas but actually it is not so. Patanjali himself has defined Ashtanga Yoga, where he says, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dhyana, Dharana, Samadhi. So the various, all these are included, but we hardly know anything about it. We immediately think about asanas. While yoga stands for union with God, humanity stands for thinking of human being collectively and at the same time quality of being humane. The subject yoga is as vast, as voluminous as the mighty ocean. And we perhaps know, what we know is as little as a palmful of water that we have gathered from there. Swami Shivanji Maharaj has put it, science of yoga. Yoga is a process of continuous transformation. The inner perfection of self-realization can come only to be revealed by experience. Yoga is a search for truth. It raises a man to spiritual eminence. We also feel that yogic exercise will free our body from many ailments. We have been told that revered sage Patanjali in his sutras has explained that yoga covers everything that is needed for the overall refinement of man and not merely limited to bodily exercise. This is very important. Normally we are carried away by the word yoga. Yoga class, have we gone? No. I am attending yoga, I am doing yoga. All those things we say. Yoga means union with God. Moreover, it is the body is the residence of the indwelling reality. So it has to be taken care of. So yogic exercise, as is prevalent now, should be done as perfectly as possible. But in Bhagavad Gita, Lord mentioned the basic preparatory measures. Yuktahara viharasya, yukta jeshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. Yoga which frees one from all misery is attained only by him who is moderate in diet, recreation, regulated in performing actions, and in sleeping and waking. Yogic exercise as is done now by majority of the participants, directly or indirectly, touch and kindle the following. Suppose we start attending the yoga classes. The tangible, palpable gain is, we try to know something about regularity, something about self-discipline, something about commitment. Can you come at 7 o'clock? No, I have got yoga class. That commitment will be there. And recognizing the existence of different parts of the body and its harmonious functioning. Otherwise we are not aware. When we go through the different asanas, then only we become aware about the existence of those organs in our. Normally we take it as granted, and we don't apply our mind seriously on it. And all asanas nobody will be able to do, at least something. And aiming for perfection. As soon as we start doing a exercise, initially the yoga teacher may give us some instruction. But later on we will not feel satisfied. So unknowingly, the aim for perfection is there. And most important is the concentration. Unknowingly we create, our level of concentration goes really up and up. No other thoughts will disturb us. Suppose we are taking this Bhujangasana, Narda Bhujangasana, Shalabhasana, anything that we take, our whole concentration will be on that. That is the tangible gain, apart from the bodily exercise. And taking various parts of the body which otherwise remains inactive, and regular upkeep of the body. Suppose we are unable to do that due to some ailment, we feel bad. We have missed one class. It is not for the yoga class, yoga teacher. You all know Krishnan, from coming from Madras. He used to come here 2-3 times in a year. He is running a big factory in Chennai. Every year he will take us there. And the main program will be, Ramnam will be there. Bangalore, Chennai devotees all will engage buses and come there and do that. Then, all his employees, it's a big factory, all his employees, they will exhibit before us yogic exercise, something wonderful to see. As if there is no bone in their body. The bending is each one beautiful, collective, individual, both. And during that period, not only that their level of concentration, the observer's level of concentration is also there. So, but along with it, we have to bring in the spiritual dimension through a value-based life as taught in Yoga Shastra. Students of philosophy know that sage Patanjali, through the inspiring sutras, have dealt on the subject matter, which brings out the various steps to lead a yogic life. First is Yama. What does Yama mean? Yama helps us to have proper and harmonious relationship with others. We don't build any wall between us and somebody, Non-violence, truthfulness, not stealing, not wasting energy, abstaining from greed, are some of the things that help us to move our present level of me and mine. That is Yama. Niyama gives thrust to individual refinement by holding on to purity, contentment, spiritual observances, study, swadhyaya, and devotion, bhakti. So, Yama and Niyama. Then asanas, the seat of consciousness, the yogi's seat and postures to prepare the body. So, in order to live up to the values, the body which is the vehicle, we are residing in this body, it should be made pakka. That is the basis of this asana. And then comes pranayam, expanding the life force through breathing exercises. Through one nostrils, through the other nostrils, then both, anuloma, viloma, then retention. It all increases. Pratyahara, turning the senses inward to explore the inner universe. Yesterday we were talking, through the five sense organs, we always go out, out, out. And because of the repeated, long-drawn habit, our mind cannot go within. So Pratyahara is there in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. A conscious effort on our part not to be swayed away by the sense organs, but to turn it towards the source of all sources. And then dharana, effortless focused attention, training the mind to meditate. In our case, it is the mental chanting of Ram Nam that drives away or that arrests all dissimilar thought currents, gets concentrated on this particular nama, particular sound. And then dhyana, a continuous flow, meditation perfected. And then find samadhi, lost or found in the divine or unity with him. So these are the 8 steps Patanjali had prescribed. The moment when we hear about yoga, these are the 8 items. At least first we should know academically, Everything may not be, but this is important. So what we generally do, as a practical, we cannot do everything in a detailed way. So during the Shavasana, when we take and relax, we also bring in this concept, deep breath. So we say inhale, me to we, exhale, me to me, 3 times. So that means we are trying to retain me to we, purge out me to me. Not merely my physical exercise, but also there is a conscious effort on my part to expand from the me and mine conceptual presence, so that I will be able to feel his presence. And then we also repeat Om. And when we repeat Om, we have to witness the chanting of Om. That means we are making an effort every day to have a, glimpse into our original nature, the core of our being. That is Sakshi Bhav, When we say, we try to hear our own Om. Then we come to know that the witness consciousness is there. So like that 3 times we repeat, and then again relax, and then come out. So this is an attempt now to consolidate our earnings, not merely limited to the body level. Every time when we attend the yoga session, we become aware of this. That ultimately we want to become aware of his presence within and to lead a harmonious life with the co-creations. So that is why how do we attain that? Here the Lord says, Yuktahara Viharasya. So a true yogi is just a normal, healthy human being. Only his or her search is for something deeper. It is inward, not outward. Outward dimensions one has finished. One has discharged all one's responsibilities. He or she had a family, gave in marriage of all children, is free now. Then one can resort to the yoga as the greatest experience of one's life. Or those who from youth itself are devoted to this, they are wonderful. They had no attraction for worldly life and started from youth along this yoga path. Both are welcome. Spiritual life and yoga can be taken recourse to at any time, at any stage of life. Whenever you feel that you are fit for it, you enter into it. It is no use hurrying upon this matter. I am not fit for it now. I have got many things other to do. Okay, there is no harm. When the time is ripe, you will get it. Sri Ramakrishna gives us a parable. A boy told his mother while going to bed, "Mother, when I feel the call of nature, please wake me up." Mother said, "When the call of nature comes, that itself will wake you. I don't need to wake you then." Similarly, when the hunger for the divine comes, you cannot resist it. And it comes sometime to everybody. And when it comes, take hold of it. That's a great thing. Don't neglect it then. And so, this is how great teachers advise. Unnecessary physical austerities are not prescribed by the greatest of teachers. Once two women came from Calcutta to Dakshineshwar to see Sri Ramakrishna. They went to him and saluted him. They were fasting all this while, for they had resolved to eat only after they see him. After giving certain instructions to them, Sri Ramakrishna learnt about the fasting they had and said, "Why have you come here fasting? You should have come after taking food. Women are but so many forms of my divine mother. I cannot bear to see them suffer. You are all images of the mother of the universe. Come after you have eaten and you will feel happy." Then he fed them with offerings from the temple. "You have eaten something. Now my mind is at peace. I cannot bear to see women fast." So here in the present sloka, we have this achievement from yoga, namely an end of all sorrow. So now Sri Krishna will take us through the process of meditation and tell us what spiritual achievement takes place through meditation. These form the series of beautiful verses. So yesterday, let us not limit ourselves only to the ahara. In all our activities, there should be moderation, moderation, moderation. Not too much sleeping. We know what will happen, too much sleeping. Too much eating. Yesterday somebody said, we should have some limit to the quantity also. Yes. And today, one more, before we go to our interactive session, somebody wanted to know about why Papa changed it to white cloths. Because we are on 27th December, we all know, he took the plunge. He left everything that he was claiming to be his own. The resolution was made at 5 o'clock in the morning. He bade farewell to a world for which he had lost all attraction and in which he could find nothing to call his own. Body, mind, soul, all were laid at the feet of Ram, that eternal being, full of love, full of mercy. And then he landed in Srirangam. He was prompted to take the order of sannyas, of course in a non-traditional way. He himself assumed and adopted the order of sannyas. He took 3 vows, changed the clothes, changed the name. And later on, we found that after coming back of the first itinerant yatra, then second in the vision of God, and when he finally came to this ashram, one fine morning he switched over. 2 versions we have heard. First version was Mataji was not happy about it because Mataji felt it's a precedent which others cannot understand why he did that. So Papa did not bother much, but later he explained exhaustively why he did so. Papa says, when a sadhaka devotes his entire life to God realization, he turns away from the world of his old association. He is seized by a spirit of renunciation. He puts on orange-colored clothes, that is, assumes sannyas. The orange robes help the sannyasin in two ways. When he takes to a wandering life and has to live on alms, the garb enables those who would feed and clothe him to know that the sadhu lives only for doing sadhana to attain God. So the Garuva is totally spiritual mendicant's garb. Mendicant's garb, not people like us who are sitting, stationaries. Secondly, the colored cloth also reminds the sadhaka every moment that his life has been totally surrendered up to God, and that no unholy thought should dwell in his mind, no tainted action should be done by him. This was how the cloth was helpful to Ramdas in his itinerant life, and this was also how it reacted on his mind. It cannot be gainsaid, however, that there is great danger also in putting on the robes of sannyas. The person who wears Garuva is looked upon by the layman as a great saint, and he is treated with considerable respect and reverence. The result is that the sannyasi begins to feel that he belongs to a higher order of being. Then he puts on airs and thinks himself to be superior to others. In many cases, Ramdas has noticed that the sannyasi wants to be respected and treated by others in a special manner. Such a distorted and unhealthy influence of the cloth, while one is still in the stage of a sadhaka, prevents him from making any progress on the spiritual path. His ego gets bloated day after day, and his sadhana either gets slowed down or is entirely given up. Eventually, the person turns to be a bogus sannyasi and brings disgrace to the cloth he wears. The cloth which was and has been worn by great illumined and world-renowned saints and sages like Sri Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vivekananda, Swami Ramtirtha, and many others. Very often we find that the same thing which is the cause of one's liberation acts also as a force that hurls one into a worst bondage. So those who wear the sannyasin's robe should be aware of abusing its sanctity. They must live up to the ideal which it symbolizes, of which it is an insistent reminder. Now, as for Ramdas, this is how he puts it. In the later stages, finding that the orange-colored cloth was proving to be an obstacle to his attainment of an all-comprehensive spiritual perfection, that is a stage of karma yoga as distinguished by the Gita from karma sannyas, God divested him of the Garuva and gave him the white clothes in return, so that he can move freely amongst all people, from the highest to the lowest, without either feeling a sense of superiority himself or causing them the least embarrassment. He can now, like a child, freely move and mingle with all friends and devotees of either sex. This is a privilege he prizes more than the greatest honor or reverence he might receive from the world. Karma sannyas implies rejection of the world as mithya, an illusion, God is taken by the sannyasi to be only a silent, immutable, impersonal reality. But the karma yogi, however, besides knowing this, also holds that the world is an expression of God, that all beings are His forms and all action are His Leela. While therefore the first is a partial spiritual experience, the latter is decidedly the complete integral realization. So it is a stage necessary from this Papa's interpretation. It may be different other interpretation. Papa's interpretation, because when somebody asks, in this ashram it was not at all the tradition, because Papa, Mataji never was wearing any Garwa clothes. Though both of them have scaled the very heights.
In which book it is, this particular?
He's asking for the source of this. Which book this is coming from? What you read just now?
I will have to check up. I have taken this and kept it there. So I will tell you tomorrow.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
The title is Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyasa. From different, even when he was on tour, foreign tour, he was asked by the same question.
The entirely a different perspective, and I mean very impressive.
That is how, Anandashram is free from all traditional approach.
Yes.
That is why at one time he felt that was necessary, and then when he knew it was not aiding him for the comprehensive realization, he had no second thought. God proved. He did not say, I did it. No? He specifically said.
The ideal from ochre to white is very impressive.
As for Ramdas, in the later stages, finding that the orange-colored cloth was proving to be an obstacle to his attainment of an all-comprehensive spiritual perfection. That is a stage of Karma Yoga as distinguished by the Gita from Karma Sannyas. God divested him of the Garva and gave him a white cloth in return, so that he can move freely amongst all people from the highest to the lowest, without either feeling a sense of superiority himself or causing them the least embarrassment.
Essential point.
And in one of his letters, recently somebody wrote and we have to reply on the same lines. As regards sannyas, let us consider what Sri Krishna says in the Gita on this subject. He speaks of two paths that lead. One is karma sannyas and the other is karma yoga. Karma sannyas is renunciation of all worldly activity and environment in order that one may engage oneself exclusively in special sadhanas for realizing God. Karma yoga is a renunciation of the fruits of all actions. Worldly activity and environment need not be abandoned. And the karmas one performs in the situation in which one is placed are offered up to the divine. So he again clarifies, there is no need for anybody to renounce. Karma yoga is renunciation of the fruits of our actions. If the craving for fruits of action is not there, then we have reached the Karma Yoga stage. We are prompted to act, we act, nothing else. Worldly activity and the environment need not be abandoned. And the karmas one performs in this situation in which one is placed are offered up to the divine. All karmas. Realizing oneself only as an instrument in divine hands. Nimitta matram bhavasavya sajin. No? The first step is to dedicate the fruits of action to the Lord. Next, the action themselves And lastly, a total and complete surrender of oneself, action, fruit, individuality, all. Of the two paths, Krishna points out Karma Yoga is the better path. In both cases, the object is to free the mind from its desires and attachment. So the answer to your question resolves into this. It is not necessary to have recourse to karma sannyas for spiritual practice. To assume, again, into another person, mere external renunciation is of no avail. To assume sannyas in the hope that by taking merely that step you will realize God is perfectly wrong. No ambiguity there, perfectly wrong. You have a great mission before you, and your physical and mental powers have to be fully utilized to that end. The vows you propose to observe are detrimental to the proper doing of the task God has entrusted you. One more word about your sannyas. This is also very important for people like us. Sannyas is not a thing to be received from or given to anybody. It is a dedication of our entire being to the Lord and His service. It is a spontaneous wave of aspiration rising from within our own heart. So receiving initiation from any external guru can make the disciple only an apparent sannyasi. Papa is always blunt. Struggling through tedious and painful course of sadhana undertaken because of the established rules and regulations. And the next one is the pinch. Observed all through with the growing ego sense at the base of it. Just now he said, people will come and say, people will do prostrate, people will take us something special. And all these will add to thickening our ego, for the removal of which we have taken this, So self-surrender, the path pointed out by all saints and sages of the world, is the one path by following which alone a man attains the supreme status which as a human being should aim at. So these are from his letters. Anyway, so the message is that what is needed is internal renunciation. If an outer, the so-called sannyas, will be instrumental in withdrawing ourselves, it will serve us to some extent in that field. We all know that Sri Bhagavan, Ramana Maharshi, he did not observe any of these things. Sri Anandamaya Ma, she did not. Many, even Nisargadatta Maharaj, he was there. There are many who don't follow this traditional way. And there are people who have followed this and also scaled the heights. So it all depends upon how we look at it. If I am clear about the goal to be scaled, he will give me the prompting to adopt what I should do. And if at all to be discarded at a later date, that also he will give. So God is placing before us the various life and mission of saints so that whatever is necessary for us, we can dwell on it. And if it is okayed by the Almighty, we will be given the necessary strong inner prompting to take to that course. Yes, now we have about 20 minutes. Anybody would like to share anything?
Yes, Swamiji, I'd like to ask about being a householder and realizing God.
Eh?
Being a householder and realizing God.
So that is answered now.
She wants you to tell about that. It is the topic.
Because here, for a householder, if we start practicing Nam Seva Dhyan method, Nama to remember him, Seva to bring in this dimension in everything that we do. It is an offering given to the Lord through His creation. The Lord is not an entity. He is the life force. He is the subtle and mysterious power dwelling in all His creation. So by serving His creation, by loving His creation, we are loving Him and serving Him. So when we say His creation, not merely individuals. It includes everything. Animate and inanimate. Even jadavastus, objects. So when we handle, there will be a touch of love, touch of tenderness, gentleness, perfection, gratitude, dedication. And whenever we forget or fail, our Nama should remind us. So first concentrate on the Nama. With the feeling that we are chanting the name of one who is within. And the purpose of His making me to chant is to move towards Him. And how do I, during the non-chanting time, how do I make a move towards Him? So this should be very clear at the time of chanting. I am chanting the name of one who is within me and who is making me to chant so that I will move towards Him. The nearness first I will feel, then His presence I will feel. Then I will try to see Him in everybody, and then I will try to become one with Him. So these are the 4 steps. So Nama chanting is basically for this. First to know His nearness. Then to feel His presence inside. But I am not in a position to chant throughout my waking state. God has given me family, God has given me job, profession, God has given me society. Social obligations are there. So what do I do? So here he says, bring this karma yoga, karma yoga. Just now we read. Bring in all, behind all activities, bring in the God dimension. Instead of seeing the person as other, we are trying to make all our actions an offering to Him. Whenever we fail or forget, that means what? Whenever the me to me becomes prominent, I fail. I don't become aware of Him. Whatever that satisfies my personality, my sense organs, my assumed personality, I will hold on to it. Disregarding the creation, co-creations. I'm only worried about me, So whenever I slip into this, Nama will remind, hey, what are you thinking, what are you talking, what are you doing? Immediately we try to correct ourselves. And then when we have sufficiently practiced this and try to ensure that majority of our actions have this stamp of divinity, stamp of love, it prepares the ground to go inward. Here again, Nama helps. So when the question is asked, how does a householder, a person who is deeply involved in various activities, which he has not named so far as spiritual activity. Actually, every activity is spiritual activity. But over the years, we have developed a feeling, these are spiritual, these are worldly. We are now trying to demolish the barrier between these two and try to make it one. That is the job of the householder. a householder devotee, a householder spiritual aspirant will try to demolish the wall that separates from the labeled spiritual practices and the labeled vyavaharik activities, worldly activities. That means in all activities, even while running the family, even while discharging my duties as an employee or an employer, even as honoring the commitments of the Friends Society, various organizations in which I am involved, everywhere, we will not start from me to me. Everywhere we will start from him, He gave us. Even when the Gerua cloth was, Papa said, God divested him off, He gives us the clue. On 27th December, he made him to leave everything. At that time, his name was Vittal Rao. He reached on that day, early 5 o'clock in the morning, he got into the train. He reached a station called E Road in the evening. And then he got down. Why he got down? We don't know. And then sometime he was loitering in the station. Then one friend asked him, where are you going? He had no idea. So he said, okay, I think during the midnight there is a train going to Trichy. I am going to Trichy. Then immediately Papa said, you take me to Trichy. When he got down at Trichy, he was prompted to walk 10 miles or something like that, 16 kilometers, to a place called Srirangam. Then he said, as he was reaching the Srirangam, he came to know, he saw Mother Kaveri, considered to be one of the 7 holiest rivers in India. Ganga, Yamuna, Gangaye Namaha, Yamunaye Namaha, Godavari Namaha, Sindhave Namaha, Kaveri Namaha, Narmadaye Namaha, Krishnaye Namaha. So these are all the 7. So in that Kaveri is there. So as he neared, suddenly, he knew why he was led by Ram to this purpose. There he offered the white clothes to the Mother Kaveri and put on the ochre cloth. And then he felt intuitively, Ram gave him the name Ramdas, Das of Ram. That's all. Traditional means, this Ananda will be there. So there was nothing like that. People started calling Swami Ramdas, but he named it as Ramdas. He always signs as Ramdas. He always identifies himself as Ramdas.
Swamiji, can we call him Ramadasa Ananda?
Why should we unnecessarily add?
Because his Ananda is there in any actions of his.
So he also says that when you become Ananda, you don't have to specifically advertise that I am Ananda by adding the Ananda in my word. Though the people who started this, Shankaracharya brought this Dashanami Samskar, probably he would have given this name Ananda. We don't know authentically, but we assume that we were told that during his period, totally everything was in a mess. So he codified everything and fixed up 10 orders. That is how this Saraswati, Puri, Giri, Tirtha, Bharati, Aranya, Akash, Ashrama, so many things came. So each one he specifically mentioned about how the Viraja Homa should be, what should be done by the Guru, what is the initiation process, everything he has in detail. So there everybody accepts it as Ananda. But there also is Chandrasekhara Bharati, Shivananda. So Saraswati cult, Saraswati group, they at the end they will say Saraswati. we find all Ananda. Otherwise we don't find. We also find here Bhumananda Tirtha, correct. Tirtha is there. Govindananda Puri, yes. So, all those things are technical, no? In what way is going to help us to know all these things. So the ultimate idea is, why did we talk about it? Papas. So he did not add anything. He only simply...
Giri is also there, no?
Giri, Puri, so many are there.
Giri.
So the Papa only put Das of Ram. That is why during his itinerant yatra, in some places where they are very much strict about all these things, they said you change your name. Your name does not fit to become it doesn't go along with the clothes you wear. Anybody who wears, they must have Ananda, in their name. Then Papa said, no, he was not prompted from within to add anything.
Swamiji, how about Sachidananda?
Swamiji, after coming here as Anandashram,
Yes.
he was passing through a severest inner struggle. What to do, what not to do. Somehow he was led to Papa. And when he came here, Papa gave him he told plainly the then state of mind, and Papa gave him the holy Ram mantra and told him to hold on to it. He wanted to stay. Papa said, Ramdas will call you later. And having come here, stay for 2 or 3 days. Then he asked whether any doubts come. He will say no, because he said if you chant properly, no doubts will arise. That means he is prompting us to go within. I am chanting, but I am not getting peace of mind. That question will come, And you are not to get anything from outside. You have to dig within. So whatever is gained is yours. You are not dependent upon any external guidance. So with that, he went back. After some time, after so many trying experiences, finally he wrote and Papa said, you come. And on 26th January 1949, he came here and joined. At that time, our Udyogashala accounts were not kept up properly. And Swamiji had learned this typewriting, shorthand and accountancy, It was a cage, on those days. So Papa said, why can you set it right? So he got involved in it, and one by one, he got involved. After 5-6 months or 7-8 months, he suddenly felt what he was doing outside, the same work he is doing here. This is not the purpose for which he came to ashram. So he went and told Papa, I have not come here for this, I have come only for, my preference is for contemplative life. Papa immediately said, okay, very good. Then you go to Rishikesh. Because here it may not be possible. Especially our ashram. Not only that it is non-traditional, Mataji used to get involved in everything, Seva activities are there. Mataji had her own way of taking up a lot of seva activities. So, a person who feels contemplative life may not find this place conducive for his spiritual journey. So Papa said, then you go to Rishikesh, stay separately. Never join any organization. This is another clue for all of us. Don't join any organization. Live there separately, and then assume sannyas. Because he said, we feel, though that has not been clearly mentioned, on those days if one has to stay in Rishikesh or Haridwar, only spiritual aspirant with this clothes, they will be given food by the Annakshetras. So that could be one reason. Another reason that would remind him of the purpose for which he has gone. So he left us Anandashivan and Papa said, you take sannyas there. Ramdas will give you clothes and also a name if you want. Which name you want, Anantananda or Sachidananda. So Swamiji told us he was taken aback. He has no idea of taking sannyas at all. So then he thought for a while, okay, it was suggested by Papa, it must be for the ultimate good. So then he left for Rishikesh as Anandashivan. And then when he went there, probably with the help of Swami Chidanji Maharaj, accommodation was arranged in a place called Ramnagar. Later on we found that there are so many aspirants were also there. And after 3 or 4 days, that means in 50, July, so he must have left by June in 1950. And then, as instructed by Papa, he went to Mother Ganga. It is very near, this Ramnagar. There he offered the clothes, changed, and then he took the same 3 vows, and then came back, then wrote a letter to Papa, and then Papa replied. That reply is with us. That will also, as a sadhaka, it will help us. It is dated 11th July 1950. Beloved Ram, Papa writes to, acknowledges the letter to Swamiji. Ramdas got your loving letter of 3rd instant, 3rd July 1950. We were looking forward to it. Glad that you have taken the new name Sachidananda and assumed sannyas. You now know that your life is entirely dedicated to God. Feel conscious of this every moment. This thought itself will help you in realizing the goal. Of course, our hearty blessings are with you for your attainment of self-illumination. Do sadhana in a disciplined manner. Be regular in your early morning meditations. Avoid tamasic influences, either from within or from without. Do not get involved in any external work, however exalted it may appear to be. Concentrate on the sadhana. Occasionally go and have the darshan of Sri Swami Shivanji Maharaj. His company, even for a short while, will be a source of inspiration to you. Keep before you the central truth that God dwells within you and that you are His manifestation. Let your mind always dwell on Him. Let Ram Nam ring on your lips whenever you are not doing any meditation or reading. You may reduce reading to the minimum. Learn by heart stotras that elevate your mind. Be free and cheerful like a bird and feel assured that the divine is at your back and you are sure to reach the goal. Love and blessings, Ramdas. So this went on for 1 more year. If we remember right, what Puja Swamiji told us was, after 7 or 8 months, one day night he had a flash of having the darshan of Papa. Next morning he got a telegram stating that this time Ramdas and Krishna Bhai are going on a tour, but not taking anybody except you if you are willing. Swamiji was enthused. He immediately sent back the reply stating that he is joining. So probably it must have been decided that he joins at Bangalore. So he joined them at Bangalore, at Mudaliyar's house, you know what? Sarangapani. Sarangapani Mudaliyar, who was in the racecourse road at that time. So he joined and was with Papa for 2 or 3 months. This, how you can see how God arranges everything, you know. He was a person who wanted contemplative life. God gave him the taste of that contemplative life for 7 to 8 months and then pulled him back, made him to join the tour, and where he had the opportunity to do secretarial work because he knew typewriting shorthand. So wherever Papa went, wherever he talked, he was able to jot down. Otherwise, Papa himself has to write, you know. So all those work, and plus, Mataji was very particular about Papa's diet, so she was preparing and he used to assist. So activity, seva in all types, not merely the paperwork, typing work, sevas of different types. All these 3 or 4 months he was able to, God gave him. And then finally when they came back to ashram, again the old habit of going back to Rishikesh came up in his heart. He expressed it to Papa. Papa said, yes, you can go. Then again the thought came, Swamiji was explaining to us in detail about the whole thing. And then he thought, who will do all these things now? What I have been doing? So he again went to, like a child, went to Papa and asked, so whom will I entrust all these things? Somebody will come and do it. So at that time, one person who had just returned from Gulf, he wanted to dedicate his life to ashram. He is also a person who can handle correspondence, everything. Young man, free from encumbrance. So he said, I will do it. So, okay. So next day, Swamiji was to leave for Rishikesh. You know, on those days, to leave for Rishikesh means from here to Chennai we have to go. And from Chennai to
Delhi.
GT Express, Delhi. From Delhi to Haridwar, then Haridwar to Rishikesh. And the mail comes, Madras mail, no, morning. It comes here by about 10:30 or 11 o'clock. He has to get into. Evening, previous day, night, the other man gets a telegram saying that his mother is seriously sick and his presence is needed. So the drama again goes, you know. So Swamiji was again in 2 minds, what to do now. So he went to Papa and asked, what am I to do? No, that you don't bother, you carry on. Somebody else will come. This is the peculiarity in Papa's approach, you know. Whatever somebody feels, it should be taken care of, not imposing, you know. Recognizing everybody's thought as important, you know. We are not telling this should be done, that should be done. He said, don't worry, you carry on. He was in 2 minds. Mataji was observing all these things. And she called him. Why should you go when the Guru is here? So Swamiji said, I have asked the Guru, no, Guru himself has permitted. Then he said, you should not ask these things to the Guru. Suppose the Guru asks you to get married, will you do that? Then he started thinking, Guru may test us to check up whether your commitment to the ideal is strong or not. That means you are not implicitly following, you are also taking it as Gurus. Then he said, suddenly, you know, intuitively he felt he will not go. So he came to Papa and told Papa, I am not going. Okay. So that gives us the clarity of Papa's approach, you know. He did not say, why you were changing every half an hour? Why should you think that you are indispensable? No, there was nothing. First he said, you carry on, somebody will handle it. I am not going. Okay, you need not go. That is how that Swamiji became a part of the ashram. So now we find the play of the divine, no?
Yes, Swami.
All these things are, of course, we say from the individual standpoint, but the play of the divine was such that he was given as an individual, he wanted to have the contemplative life, this karma sannyas and karma yoga, There should be a harmonious blend of these both, sannyas and karma. So he had a taste of it, and because he was rooted in that, he was able to maintain that contemplative mood even while he was busily engaged in various activities. To remember about the inspiring life and mission of Mahatmas is a part of our sadhana. We are not trying to memorize. There are so many points for us to learn from these narratives. Each one can assimilate, each one can think over it. So many points.
Salient points, sir.
Salient points. The words of Papa, words of Mataji, words of Swamiji, letters of even the letter written by Papa, gives an outline of what should be the what is sadhana. Gives a complete picture, a package of the sadhana, giving stress more and more for meditation, little bit of reading, little bit of chanting, and then learning stotras that will touch and kindle so many positive thoughts in us. And you never get involved in any activities, because that one activity will lead to another activity, will lead to another activity, and you will get lost. So these are all something, when we heard, it is not to be treated as a letter written by Papa to Swamiji. Something is there for all of us to take note of, and then implement it or bring it into our life to the extent possible. So we started from Yuktahara Viharasya, That means today Papa is giving us a complete, an overview, an overview of sadhana. Not only in food, not only in recreation, not only in work, not only in sleep, not only in waking state. Everywhere there should be moderation, moderation, moderation. Then only we will be able to move towards the Almighty Yoga. Then it becomes a yoga. Yuktahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya, yukta. One last line.
Yogo bhavati dukkha.
Yogo bhavati. Yogo bhavati dukkha. You will be free from miseries. This yoga will free us from miseries. So we started from that. We had a glimpse into Patanjali's 8 sloka. This one. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Something, an overview. Then we were also talking about how to bring in the present day yoga. Means we limit to the physical exercise part, but we can also bring in some of it in our own way, so that our ultimate aim is to become aware of His presence within. And this should help us, all these exercises should help us to have proper control over our sense organs, which are taking us out always. It has to be slowly tamed, tutored, educated, and then taught, and then to slowly turn towards the core of our being. And then from there we move to Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyas. Why Papa changed to white clothes again? He was in white clothes. In between he opted for ochre and then came back. And then a wonderful principle that for the comprehensive realization The simple truth, it comes, whether I am in this dress or in white dress, or whether I don't have any dress at all, God is within me. That is the comprehensive realization, no? Whether one is a man or a girl, or a lady, one is literate or illiterate, one is poor or rich, one is lettered or unlettered, God is there equally, in entirety. So all these prefixes and suffixes, they are relative. They have some relevance for some time, but ultimately, He is there in everybody. If this becomes clear, we are free from all bondages. Tomorrow, we will try to spend some time on Papa's another bombshell quotation. How a stage comes when how we ourselves free ourselves from all bondages. One bondage, another bondage, another bondage, another bondage. And then he started releasing himself from various bondages. To get rid of other bondages, he took one bondage like cocker ropes. That also later on he freed himself. And after his journey, he had beautifully brought out that a day will come when we have to leave everything. So there is no prefix, suffix. If that is made clear to us, our spiritual journey becomes smooth, free from tension, free from conflicts. Because so far we have added on so many things on us. And that is why we have created a bondage, not because somebody created a bondage for us. We created the bondage for ourselves. So something what we have put on, we have to take it out, undress. That is beautifully brought out. We will spend some time tomorrow on that. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om, Hari Om. Pranam, pranam, pranam to everybody. Hari Om.